We are at the Onion Creek Trailhead, which is a beautiful trail about 20 miles northeast of Moab, Utah. And you're with two Tennesseans that got interested in off-roading a few years ago. Frankly, we were inspired by seeing some really fantastic videos on YouTube of some incredible trails and the videos produced by some really creative uh, producers of those videos. Now, Tennessee is a long ways from Utah, so instead of driving our Jeep out there, we instead flew into Salt Lake City and rented a Jeep from a local company, Epic Jeep. And those people were so nice and so courteous, and they brought the Jeep to the airport. The Jeep itself performed like a champ. We were very happy with them. Now, Onion Creek itself is about 12 and a half miles long. Now, you can go out and back, making it 25 miles, or you can, if you wanted to, make a big loop. And if, for example, you can come back down Castle Valley, the trail does, well, starts low, about 1,200-foot elevation difference up to a plateau, and there's other trails that branch off. The trail is pretty easy, rated 3 out of 10 by Onyx Off-Road. It's dirt, follows Onion Creek for much of the way, passes through a canyon that's spectacular red rock walls, and there's a section called the Narrows that's particularly fun to go through. And the red color, my geology friends tell me that's from hematite in the sandstone and mudstone formations. Now, a really fun part for us was going over through the 38 stream crossings. Now, I wouldn't want to be in that canyon when there's a storm event because it is subject to flash flooding, so you could get stranded or even worse. It's a popular trail, so in order to avoid some of the traffic, we did get out there early, first thing in the morning, and in fact we only saw a couple vehicles, including a rancher's truck pulling a horse trailer. And the trail originally was built for the access to ranchers. Let me say a couple things about the geology of the area. I'm not a geologist. I admire geologists that can read landscape and understand the history. But I did some background searching and found a little bit about the geology. And according to that info, the canyon cuts through 280 million year old Permian era sandstones and mudstones, and that creates the dramatic red rocks that you see in that area. A section of the geology is a little different from the rest, and it's called the Onion Creek Diaspore. And that's a new word for me, but this is apparently a geologic structure that was formed by ancient salt deposits being pushed up through overlying rock layers. And I read one place that said, well, you can kind of think of this as a huge lava lamp. So that formation, that geology, is visible as white salt and gypsum formations, and that contrasts, of course, with the predominant red rock. Importantly, that gypsum that's in the diaper formation is rich in sulfate, and it's my understanding that that sulfate does get converted, at least some of it gets converted to hydrogen sulfide gas, which gives that rotten egg odor. You may have created that in high school and smelled that odor. And that hence gives the name to the creek, Onion Creek. Now, we didn't happen to smell that along the way, but apparently it's possible to smell it some places. Well, I will stop talking for a while and just let people enjoy some trail video. I believe at this point we're entering the narrow section of Onion Creek, which is a really pretty canyon to drive through. Now this section of Onion Creek turned out to be the narrowest and rockiest part of the trail, but there was still a couple places one could pass. We are just about to the top of the plateau, and this is the steepest part of the trail. The video doesn't quite do justice. It's not terribly steep, but I did stop to put the Jeep in four-wheel low. We are more or less at the highest elevation on the trail. It's a dirt road, and you can see erosion has kind of cut into the road on both sides at places. I imagine that will have to be fixed at some time, not in too distant future. We did stop at a couple places to take some pictures, and it's a beautiful vista to the right. And eventually you end up on a flat part of the plateau with the ranch out in the distance. We have turned the Jeep around here and are heading back down Onion Creek Trail. It was just a beautiful day to drive the trail. Now I believe that white rock formation you see more or less straight ahead is the gypsum containing formation, which has a sulfate that can ultimately give rise to some odors. you can see that this part of the trail is pretty well watered and fairly lush in comparison. If you look on the right, you can see some white deposits, which I believe is just some remaining salt that's been left from evaporation. There were a lot of stream crossings in this part of the trail. I believe we were right in the middle of the gypsum formation. I'll speed the video up by 2x in order to make it not so long of a video. And back through the canyon called the Narrows. that's going to wrap it up for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. We did finish the trail in time for lunch, and you may know that there's a lot of great choices for restaurants in Moab. I believe we went to the Moab Garage to have a sandwich, and then to indulge our sweet tooth, we went over to the Bonjour Bakery, and they have a great selection there. If anyone were interested in the equipment I used to produce this video, the action cam was a DJI Osmo Action 4, and the editing software was a VideoProc Vlogger, which is free. It seems pretty powerful to me, and it wasn't too bad to learn. I did buy a piece of software called VideoProc Audio AI, and that I used to remove some unwanted vocal